Okay, this is the start to my cozy mystery journey. I'm going to try and read 3 this month. It's going to be throughout the month, so it's going to be like a whole month log where I'm basically just going to check in on my thoughts on each of these books. Maybe show you any potentially interesting life things. There might not be that much, but I am going to be kitten sitting, so I figure kitten footage is always welcome. And yeah, the idea is that I haven't read cozy mysteries in a decade and a half, a very, very long time. And so I wanted to get back into it. And my friend Stephanie at Miss Richards Reads is the cozy mystery queen. At least I see her talking about them all the time, and I'm like infinitely jealous that she has time to fit both those and epic fantasy into her reading life. And so I'm starting with, I forget what it's called. There will be one right here. It has to do with dumplings, and I've already started it because I had to go grocery shopping and I wanted an audiobook to start this month off because this is November 1st. And first of all, I didn't know it took place in Cleveland, which I'm from Cleveland, so 10 out of 10 points for location. In terms of the cozy vibes, maybe we'll rank things on like coziness, the plot, and like characters. I'm getting inspiration from when Mara did her like monster romance vlog, but stay tuned for that. But regardless, it's taken place in Cleveland, west side of Cleveland, and the book even calls out how, you know, if you're on the west or east side of Cleveland, you don't kind of travel to the other place, which can confirm. I'm an east sider, so I don't actually know the area they're talking about that much. I think I have been there. I've been to that area once or twice, but not very often because I was in my part of greater Cleveland. But it's not only in Cleveland, it's taking place in November. So it's exciting. And I like the voice of the audio narrator. And it's very cozy. Like it's truly like we have a main character who's like working at her family restaurant. She doesn't really want to be. Her mom's like way too in her business. Her best friend is like trying to be helpful. She thinks the cop for this investigation or investigator, I don't know, detective, whoever it is, she thinks he's hot. We've got a lot of cozy things happening. Someone who owns a lot of property was just killed, and she was the person to deliver the food that he had the allergic reaction to. Games are afoot. So that's the premise of this one. I'm pretty excited about it. I've already really enjoyed it, and I'm about to go on a walk to get The World We Make by M.K. Jemisin, because it's out. It's release day, so I gotta go to the bookstore, and I gotta go get a copy, which is exciting. And yeah, I plan on listening to it then, and I'm making jambalaya tonight, which I probably won't give you footage of because like I'm horrible at filming in the kitchen. Like I don't know how people film in the kitchen. My life is not that organized. It's already chaos in there. But I'm gonna listen to the audiobook while going to the bookstore, while making my food, when I go on my commute, and I'll either check in halfway through or when I finish, depending on how many thoughts I have halfway through. Figure I would check in with my cozy fuzzes. They're actually really cute together right now. It's actually not that cold today. It's like that heat wave in November. Yeah, it's so warm. It's like 70 degrees in November. But I am, how far am I, Putao? I think I'm 70% of the way through Dumplings, and I'm going to finish it while organizing my closet and doing chores this afternoon. And then, yes, Putao, the next clip, because we're going to go see my friend with the kitten tonight, will be kitten content, because I think that's very cozy. I don't have deep thoughts other than this has been lovely, and it's been cozy and kind of over the top. It's just a good time. Putao, you haven't read the book. It's rude to interrupt. Like this is him every time I tried to film, guys, every single time. But I just wanted to say that I've been liking it. A twist just happened. And I'm curious if there are more books in this series, and I would try it out. Also, I don't know if you guys can tell, but the cats are currently invading my space. So I'm going to go do my chores, but I just wanted to check in and say that I'm still liking this book. I don't know how I'm going to rate cozy mysteries, like for myself, for my channel. I know at the start of this, we're going to rate on like coziness, plot, and characters, and I'm still going to check in on that at the end of this. But like in terms of like how I compare a cozy mystery to like fantasy and literary novels I read, I have no clue. Because I'm reading it for very different reasons. But it's good, Putao, right? It's good. All right, chaotic clip. We're rolling with it. I'm gonna go clean my closet because I have the kitten visiting me next week, and I need to be able to close this closet because the kitten's not getting in there. And I'm doing laundry, and hopefully I only have an hour and a half left at the speed I'm reading it at. I can get this all done while I'm doing chores and stuff before I go see the Bruins game tonight, and I can check in after I show you all that cute kitten content. right, I don't think I ever wrapped up Death by Dumpling. And I'm sure there's been so much kitten footage in here because I have had a lot of kitten time. And I've started apple cider slaying. So I'm going to talk about my initial thoughts on that because I'm like halfway through that after we do Death by Dumpling. So Death by Dumpling, what are my thoughts? It's been, I want to say, a week and a half since I've finished it. So we're really going to gauge how long do cozy mysteries stay with me. Stay with me in my brain. So I think I had my 3 metrics that we were going to rank these on. So coziness factor. I think the fact that it's set in Cleveland, even though it's not the east side of Cleveland, it's the west side, that was a big thing for me. The fact that it was taking place in early November, and I read that in early November, it's like when you're watching TV shows and like it's the Thanksgiving episode right by Thanksgiving. That's big coziness vibes. There was a lot of good food, and I think food also adds big coziness factors. And there was a dog. Animal companion is also for the win. So I think this is getting a solid, let's say 3.5 stars out of 5 for coziness. Could potentially be a 4, but I think 3.5 feels right. And then we're gonna talk about like characters. How much did I care about this cast of characters? Because I think that's another important thing. Like when I'm watching at least cozy TV, it's like I'm here for the people. And I will say this is probably one of the weaker parts for me. I think this is probably going to just be a solid 3 out of 5. I couldn't even tell you the name of the main character. The romantic story was fine. I think like her internal journey was fine, but like not something that I was super invested in. I did like the neighborhood. Like I think the community was nice, but I think I put that more into the cozy factor than the characters. Like I truly don't remember many people's names. And I was thinking about, will I continue this series? And if I did, it would have been for the characters, because that's why I continue any piece of cozy media, is like, well, I just want to hang out with these people. And I don't think, even though I really liked this one, that I would continue it, because I don't think I need more from it. But the plot was probably up there with the coziness factor, probably a similar level, probably like a 3.5 out of 5, where like in general, I didn't actually see everything where it was going. I did really want to get to the ending when I got to the end of the book, which means for a plot-driven thing, it paced itself in a way where I was really invested at the end. So yeah, that's my mini thoughts on Death by Dumpling. And now, Apple Cider Slaying. And I feel like those ratings happen because I've started Apple Cider Slaying. I am loving this book. I am really liking it. Like, I have already looked to see how many other books are out in this series. We'll see if I still feel this way by the end. But I'm really liking this. We have Winnie. We're in West Virginia. She just like really wants to start this cider business on her grandmother's orchard to also help the orchard. And first of all, apples. Great. It's taking place Black Friday, November. So I'm a little bit early for it, but it's also like an anticipatory coziness vibe, right? It's like, oh, it's almost Thanksgiving and it's almost Christmas. And this book is pretty much almost Christmas. So that's very cozy. I really like Winnie. I think Winnie really wanting to do this business and where her head's at and how she thinks about things. I really like the arc that we have been introduced to for her. So I find her more compelling than the main character in Death by Dumpling, even though like they kind of do go through similar problems. Like they both had bad breakups a year ago and stuff like that. Like they both have like classic Hallmark movie type situations. But I'm really liking Winnie. There are 2 kittens. That is adding to the adorableness by a lot, because I am a kitten person. Like, yeah. So we have kittens. We've got, in both stories, we had like a sheriff investigator who was like, don't get involved. And I think I like this one a bit more. This one, though, a little snarky. I really like her job at the diner. I think the small town vibes of this one are really good. And granted, the last one was in Cleveland, which is not a small town. But I just feel like the small town vibes, like, I feel like when we're in those diner scenes, like the musical waitress and stuff like that. So in terms of like atmosphere, I am there. And also, although it is about her solving this murder mystery because she doesn't want her grandmother to be accused and because she wants to get the loan for her business, the focus, I think, is a bit more on her journey and her business ventures, and I think I like that. I like that the murder mystery part is not as front and center. And I don't know, I just feel like she's also very overt about it in a way that she's not even pretending to be, like, sneaky about her investigation, which I think I also appreciate, which I think was a thing in Death by Dumplings, where she's just like, oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do my own investigation, and nobody's going to notice. And I'm like, oh, you're not that subtle. So I've been liking that. So yeah, we'll see if this sticks the landing. I'm also really liking this audio narrator. Also very good. And there's 2 other ones, and I won't read them this year, but one of them's a Halloween one, so I need to figure out the season for the second book. But the other one had a jack-o'-lantern on it. So this might just be like a very good series for me. We shall see if that all sticks the landing and if I still care about our cast of characters by the end. But there are very, very cute kittens. Like, yes. So that's his check-in. And I will talk to you guys once I have some thoughts. I don't know what other footage you might be getting. I have been doing quite a bunch this month, so you might have seen a Celtics game footage. You might be seeing even more kitten footage after this. We're going to Cleveland, and we're going to make cookies and stuff like that. Like, it depends on when I finish this book and when I start Assaulted Caramel, how much of my life you're going to see. But it is a cozy time of year, so hopefully you are seeing some cool stuff. Alright, it is right before I'm about to leave for Cleveland, so I'm sure you're going to see cozy footage after this clip, where I'll show any decorating we do and cookie stuff, although I might still save some of the cookie footage for its own little, like, short. But this is the vlog of coziness, so I'm going to put in all my decorating coziness. Also, ignore any extraneous video game sounds in the background. Ryan's playing, I think, the game Infamous. But I finished Cider Slaying last night, and I got, I think, 10 chapters into the next one, so I figure I need to review on our weird metrics, the last one, and talk about my thoughts on Assaulted Caramel. So, Cider Slaying. I really enjoyed this. There are 2 other books out, and I like it enough that I do want to pick those up in the appropriate seasons. I think one of them is better for late summer, early fall, and the other one's good for Halloween, so maybe next year I'll read both of those. It depends on how much I feel like I need to space them out. So far, been really liking that. So coziness factor, considering I was reading it like right up to my big vacation week where I like do all the holiday things and want all the holiday coziness, it was right on par. It takes place starting at Black Friday and it goes up to like Christmas, but it's like mostly in preparation of Christmas, like hosting a Christmas festival. For this time of year, super cozy. It had the small town vibes like through the roof, which I appreciated like immensely. Lots of small community tensions and things like that. There were these 2 adorable kittens. I really liked, well, that's more in the characters. So in terms of coziness, this is a solid 4 out of 5, I think. Like, especially because of the time of year I read it and everything like that, just like peak coziness. I think maybe in some ways I was a little too cold sometimes because we were outside, but like, yeah, it's either 4 or 4.5. We'll see what I landed on in editing space. Characters. I really liked the motivation of our main character of both helping her grandmother and the orchard, but also like wants to start a cider business, has been working towards this goal. I really liked that. I appreciated her having this goal and that was kind of a driving force of this novel. And like, yes, was she like sneaking around and trying to look into things that she shouldn't have because it's cozy mystery? Sure. But I would say like maybe like a third of it, if not more, was her planning her business and like putting things into action. And I enjoy that. I enjoy the act of building something. So that being a part of her arc and the plot is like a big thing for me. I love the interaction with the sheriff in this town. I've noticed that with cozy mysteries, there's always a sheriff and he's always very attractive. This is apparently a trope where we're learning all the tropes. But I really liked their back and forth. And there was actually like a part where I was like really into their relationship and like how it was developing, but also really nervous about like, is he who I think he is? I love the grandma. I love the close friend who's like always adopting all the cats. So character work, I think that's a solid 4 out of 5. And in the plot, I did not see the ending coming. And like I said, I was like concerned about things and I was on the edge of my seat at the end. There were so many moments of tension in this cozy mystery. And like, I know there's a sense of safety because it is the genre that it is, but I was still just like, what is happening? This is so ominous because there's someone again and again that keeps showing up around Winnie as Winnie's also trying to figure out who killed this person on their orchard and things like that. And it was just, a good amount of tension. I really liked the business plot arc. That was mostly also a plot point in this. And then, yeah, the fact that, like, it actually really made sense, the ending, but the fact that I really didn't see it coming, I thought was really fun. So I think that's also like a solid 4 out of 5. So all together, it's probably a 4 out of 5 book. And currently the top of my cozy mysteries. And now I've started Assaulted Caramel, and I have been pushing through the audiobook because, like, I truly love reading these as audiobooks while I'm doing things. And if I do it at like 2.5 times speed, it's okay. Like, because the accents are okay. The conversational parts, it's just the exposition where it's no emotion, like negative emotion. And this is the story, I forget her name, but this woman runs a chocolatier thing in New York City, and she ends up back home in Amish country in Ohio, which I love. I know where that is. Love Amish country. And when she's there for her grandparents, because her grandfather's really sick, someone gets killed in their chocolate shop. And she's trying to make sure her grandparents don't get implicated. And so that's our starting point. Once again, there's a very attractive detective that we've been interacting with who does know, like, her parents. And yeah, I mean, right now, I'm not sure if this is going to be my favorite hero, protagonist, whatever, because she's in this, like, super unhealthy relationship with this person. And I'm like, why? Like, why are you with them? And this is also, like, all of them, you know, fit Hallmark movie tropes. But this one's like, oh, you went from the big city to the small town, and, like, I assume she's probably going to take over her family's chocolate shop at some point and not end up back in New York City. But I love chocolate. So that's a big coziness factor here. It's chocolate, and it's in Ohio. Like, when she flew into the Akron Canton airport, I know where that is. I've flown out of that airport so many times. And when I'm at home, I'll try and make sure I put in footage. I got my mom this game called Chocolate Factory, which is about making chocolate. So I'm, like, also in the mood for that. And that's the thing about coziness, right? Is it's got to meet you where you are or make you nostalgic for things. And I think it's going to do that. Do I think it'll beat Apple Cider Slaying? I don't know. I do not know. But we'll find out at the end of this vlog. I have returned. Does it look like I've returned? I have no clue. I just got back from a long drive, and during that drive, I finished Assaulted Caramel because I had a thing to crochet and time, although I had to finish reading it physically because I ran out of data, and I guess Scrib can't exist off of the very slow speed data that my provider goes to. But that's okay, because I actually like physically reading Assaulted Caramel. I had no issue with that. It's just, like, I feel like cozy mysteries and entertainment-wise are things I want to be multitasking with, which, you know, implies an audiobook sort of thing. So I think now I need to talk about the 3 factors we've been rating these on, how I felt about it, and then I guess rank these and discuss this experiment, what I have noticed briefly before wrapping this all up. So coziness factor. I don't think this was the coziest one. I actually think this is actively the least cozy one, especially with some ending stuff. Now, I don't mean it's not a cozy mystery. This is definitely a cozy mystery. I now have a very strong sense of tropes that are supposed to show up in the first book of a series of cozy mysteries. I'm fairly certain I know what's supposed to happen now. I have found the formula. I am, at least in these 3, there were some consistent things between them, which is fine. I was expecting that. But even though this is in fall, and there's a chocolate thing, and it was taking place in an area that I knew in Ohio, I just felt really stressed. And I think part of that leads into character. So I think for coziness, I think it's a 3. I think it's a 3 because, like, I still felt the levity of a cozy mystery, and it was fall, and there was a thing that's, like, kind of one of my favorite, like, things where, like, a bunch of people came together for a while to be a team to do a thing, but it wasn't, like, a long-standing thing. So, I mean, it definitely had Hallmark movie vibes, for sure. In terms of character, what was her name even? This one wasn't Winnie. I think that was the last book. Oh, this one started with a B. I can't remember her name even. But this is me in all books, though. It's not really like a thing about the book. But she was basically a workaholic from the city, going to the small countryside to see her grandparents and starting to rethink her life. And she's supposed to be getting this head chocolatier job. Chocolate is her life and stuff like that. And she's in a like secret relationship. And she's kind of difficult, I think. Like, I don't know, she doesn't make very bright decisions. So I didn't dislike her. I think I like her arc and the focus of her a tiny bit more than who we had in Death by Dumplings, but not like that much more. So I think this is like a 3.5 character arc situation for me. Especially just because some of the stuff that was happening with her character, like she was having this internal melodramatic monologue about things she'd done in her past, how her grandparents don't know the real her. And I'm like, okay, the real you is not that bad. Like, calm down. like she was like, they don't know I have a secret boyfriend. I'm just like, yeah, that's okay. Like, whatever, I guess. I mean, like, it's a problem for your relationship, probably, that is a secret, but that doesn't make you like a bad person. Anyways, so she was a little melodramatic about her like internal flaws. So yeah. So that's like around a 3.5. And the plot, I do think that I was kept on my toes, but like it wasn't as fulfilling for me near the end, mainly because so much happened in like the last 20 pages to the point where like I feel like I have to pick up the sequel to get some closure, but like I kind of wanted a little more closure early on, and it's just, it was interesting. It was interesting. I do like the meta of how this got to be, and I actually think that this world would be an interesting one to explore because of the like community politics of this. Like there's definitely unresolved character threads, and I think that's fascinating to have carry through. I think of all the books, this had the most potential for that. Definitely a lot of conspiracies, corruptions, different like I said, internal politics of this small town to explore in future mysteries. So that way, I think that's probably like, I think actually the plot's more like a 4. So this is averaging out to like a 3.5 star read, I believe. And so where does that put my ranking? I do believe Cider Slaying is for sure my top. And it's for sure the one that I think I really want to read early next fall is the next book. There are 2 other books out. One set in fall, one set in Halloween. And so I could read both of those next fall. Easy. And I feel for me that's like cozy mystery time and stuff like that. So that would make sense. Assaulted Caramel. That one, if I do continue, I think I could palate cleanse this any time of year because I didn't really have a seasonal coziness factor to it for me. That wasn't super strong. And like I said, character dynamic wise, I do care about this community and where we're going. This definitely had one of the better parts of a trope because I'm gonna tell you guys some tropes I noticed and which ones I thought did certain tropes better, but that one's second. And then Death by Dumplings, although I still really enjoyed Death by Dumplings, it's definitely stayed with me the least. I think that one's basically because the community and character work were not as easy for me to like hold on to, because like there's a lot of just stereotypical, why don't you have a boyfriend yet stuff, and I was just like, it wasn't compelling to me. And it could be because the main animal companion in that is a dog and not a cat. And maybe I'm shallow like that. So tropes though, there always has to be a sheriff or an investigator that you are fighting against, but they have to be the love interest. That was all 3 of these books, and the best one was Assaulted Caramel. Aiden won that. We definitely have Hallmark movie vibes. We've got a girl, you know, or young woman who's in a pivotal career moment in her life, and this murder is getting in the way. And for me, Cider Slaying with Winnie, that was the best. I loved seeing her trying to put that together. This has to take place in small communities. And I think actually it works best when we were in West Virginia or we were in Amish country versus with Death by Dumpling, we were actually in Cleveland. And although I love that, being from Cleveland, I think it actually made the community feel less small, even though they were tight-knit. Like it did come across that way. So those were just like some tropes that I was like, oh yes, and here is the banter with the deputy that will become the love interest. And you don't know that you're going to end up in this small town for the rest of the book series, but I know you're a book series. So this was a fun project, and thank you again, Stephanie, for giving me these books to read. I had fun. I liked all of these. Otherwise, I would have DNF'd them. I honestly would. And that's it for this video. Let me know, what are some of your favorite cozy mysteries? Have you read any of these? And if you have you continued any of these? And do you think I'm right about where I think I should focus my energy on continuing some of these? And that's it for this one. If you want to leave an emoji, leave chocolate, because the last book I read was a chocolate related book. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.